wanna ride. So baby, get with me, 'cause this party goes on all night. You never get this right, 'cause when you're rolling with a G, 'cause this party goes on all night.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome to the Real Source Podcast. I'm your host, JD, and today is episode 10. In today's episode, we will be talking about when is a good time for you to introduce your partner to your child. Now, before we get into that, I'd like to give a shout out to my nephew AJ and his wife Jessie for their first newborn child, LT, who was born August 21st. All right, y'all made it now. So now, back to the episode. So again, the episode is evolving around when is it a good time to introduce your child to your partner? Now, speaking with many different people, which I have over the time, men and women alike, this seems to have a variable answer to it from different people. Most of the time, from what I'm hearing, it's anywhere from 6 months to a year. I've had a couple women and men tell me that it's 3 months, where they introduce the person that they're starting to deal with to their child. I think that's very, subjective based on what your situation is, as, your workflow, your availability, and how often the child is with you, since you're not with your partner. So, kids are the one thing, as far as human beings go, that they're not going to lie to you. They're going to let you know how they feel. So I think when you are going through the stages of where you're dating and you're starting to meet different people, you have to use the proper discernment in how you are going to introduce your child to your partner. Whether or not, if you even take the partner serious to that extent, or if it's just a casual thing. I think you, as being the person, has to come to terms with that, and you have to realize, okay, this person I'm just messing around with, so maybe this isn't a person that I should bring around my child, as opposed to you having real intentions of being with this person and possibly having a relationship with some longevity to it. So with that being said, I don't think there's any specific time limit. I myself would say I'd probably wait anywhere from 6 months to a year before I would introduce my partner to my child. And when we say child now, we're not talking about, because even though your parents and you and your kid may be grown, it's still your kid, right? But when we say child, we're talking anywhere from the ages of 1 to 13, where they actually can say things, or they actually, have some interaction, with you and the person as well. So it's tough, because you're dealing with a situation where the partner is not in the picture. But again, it depends on what your relationship is with that person. So if that person is not in the picture, then it's a little more easier to have your input as the new partner that's in the relationship. If the partner is in the situation where you're not together, but you guys are co-parenting, then there's certain boundaries and guidelines that we have to follow, and we'll get into that later on. But I think, again, is using the proper judgment, as far as like how the interaction with you and this person is. You can't just be going out on dates and just eating dinner and having drinks all the time. You got to try to do different things. You got to feel the person out to get a sense of what kind of personality they have and how their mindset is. So with that being said, again, it's it can be open based upon what you allow to come into that. And we'll discuss more going into the next steps.
Creating a logo isn't easy. It's more than just shapes and colors. Your brand deserves more than a quick fix or template. At Logo Lab, we craft with purpose, precision, and passion. Leave the logo designing to us and watch your vision come to life.
So now topic 2, which is covering, is it you bringing your child around the partner a little too fast could be a mistake, right? So now I think so. I think it could be a mistake. I think there's a lot of reasons why it could be a mistake. You know, a lot of times when people are dating or they're starting to see people, most of the time, at least from my experiences, they don't give their full selves. You know, they give bits and pieces of who they are. So I think a lot of the questioning, asking, not interrogating someone, but just asking them questions, you know, integral questions, questions of character, questions of mentality, of spiritual, you know, that'll give you a better understanding of what kind of person that you're dealing with. It's definitely not good to bring your child around somebody fast, especially if you just met them, you know. I myself have experienced, and you know, I have to use myself as an example if we're going to discuss this and talk about it. I myself have been in situations where I've met women and the women didn't have any problem bringing their kids around me, you know, early. But I also love kids, and kids are kind of have this energy thing with me where they're attracted to me as well too. So for different folks, it's different strokes, right? But I think where this could be a problem is because one, and like me and my brother T have talked about off camera, you may not know what this partner's past is like. You know, you may not know that this person might have some mental issues or could secretly be a pedophile, you know, or it could be something that's going on with them that they keep hidden that isn't revealed in the beginning, you know, not to you and not even to the child till they find themselves comfortable enough to be in this environment. So I think there's certain things, there's certain preliminary steps that you can take without having to make the partner feel like, you know, you're investigating them, but just, you know, questions of character, you know, like, have you ever volunteered? You know, have you ever worked with kids? Do you like the idea of children being the future? What does that represent to you? You know, I know what that represents to me. You know, children being the future is basically what we teach them today. What we teach them today and how we teach them differently today can turn out to make a different future for them, you know, based on the environment and whatever it is, you know, that they're, the environment that they're living in. So I think, you know, per se, it becomes difficult when you are trying to get to know someone and you throw them in the mix with your kid right away. You know, you're not going to get the full version of that person. So just with that being said, it could also lead to some other things. You know, it could lead to some serious problems. You don't know if this person's ever been to jail. You know, you don't know what kind of background this person has. Most of these, you know, psychotic murderers or people that have issues, they have other sides to them. So like they'll show you one side, but then the backside is something that could be really, really ugly. So I think asking them questions of character, you know, asking them questions of what is it that makes your soul feel invigorated, you know, when it comes to kids. And I think just based on asking them simple questions about what their outlook is on people that have children, what do they think about dating people with children, can give you a better understanding of what their mindset is. You can't just sit there and ask them, you know, questions like, oh, well, you know, what do you like to do, you know, in your spare time? Or what's your hobby? Like, no, ask them if they had both their parents, you know, ask them if their parents stood together or did they become divorced? And ask them based upon what their answer is, if their parents stood together, well, how did that impact you, you know, in a positive way, you know, being cultivated and growing up? And how, how that also impact you if your parents separated, and how that changed your development and the way that you see things, or your perception and your outlook. So I think once you can kind of get into that, then you have a better understanding of what this person is really about. And then you can use a better discernment on how you move forward with them, with that being said.
Creating a logo isn't easy, it's more than just shapes and colors. Your brand deserves more than a quick fix or template. At Logo Lab, we craft with purpose, precision, and passion. Leave the logo designing to us, and watch your vision come to life.
So topic 3 is about you bringing your child around the partner, and the partner also having children themselves, right? So you've gotten past the point of where now you like the person, then you introduce them. You want to introduce them to your child, right? But now they also have a child as well, So now you've got to look at the dynamic of how they are as a parent, single parent with their child, and then also take into mind that how they may be around your child, you don't want to have the wrong type of people around your children. And this goes for women and men alike. If you're a man, you don't want some girl that's, dressing half naked all the time and looking for attention and posting pictures and doing a lot of stuff that negates the attention that she should be having with the child. And just like the woman for the man. You don't want a man that's walking around cursing out, every word that comes out of his mouth is a curse word, or he's sagging his pants and he's teaching the kid, criminal activities, basically, things of incrimination, bad standards. That's not right. That's not going to work. So when you already gotten to this point with this person, now you're observing how they are with their child. And then you bring your child around their child. And you also have to see how the children get along. And also, most importantly, is how your child gets along with your new partner. Because the mom or dad could be in the picture. You guys could be co-parenting, but they let you do you and you let them do them when they're with your kid, and vice versa. So, thinking it's like, okay, let's take them to a museum. Let's let them play in the playground. Again, this is between the ages of 1 and 13. So I'm talking from the youngest of the youngest to now when they start to get a little bit older, you have them, maybe they're both got TikTok accounts, that they look at each other's TikToks, or they're creating something together. The thing is this, that blueprint is designed specifically by the parents, and it's by what you make as a boundary for each individual. So it's like, okay, listen, yeah, you should bring your son over, or you could bring your daughter over, and I'll watch them while you got to go work, and do overtime, or whatever the case is. Or, I'm going to take the kids to a water park. Like there's different scenarios, and you have to be mindful of the fact that the kids have their own thoughts. They have their own way of viewing things. And if you're not really sure with the partner that you're with, then it's probably not a good idea to bring those parties around each other. Because what's going to happen is the kids will have an attachment to each other, just like sometimes they have an attachment to the partner. And then when things don't go right, or God forbid you guys happen to break up, it hurts. It hurts the dynamic with the children, because children are, as resilient as they are, they're very passionate too about the things that they like, So I think it's very important that you be on your best awareness to say, okay, you know what? When we go take them shopping, or when you go take them shopping, rather, you buy them the same thing. When you take one to get something to eat, you take the other one to go get something to eat. My dad was like that. and I'm speaking from experience. My dad had dated women that, and I was young, and her kids were young, and whatever he would get me, he would get them too, you know. And she would do the same actually. Like whatever she would get them, she would get me as well too. But the boundaries and the structures of that was created from the jump. Hey, listen, I'm going to do this because I love you and because I care about you. And I care about these kids too. And I think once you've made a conscious decision to move forward with that, you have to understand that a woman with a child and a man with a child is a package deal. That's the bottom line. It's a package deal. And if you are not ready to fully incorporate yourself and dive full head first into that situation, then be upfront and let that be known right from the jump. Don't prolong it, because now you make it worse for the kids. As adults, we get over things. Kids do too. But we're talking about the impression that is being left, because now they haven't fully developed as far as mentally and spiritually. So they see these things and then they get older. And as they get older, whatever it was that was a negative construct that they experience is what they're going to internalize. And that's going to be, it can be a hindrance, or it can be a growth development for them as well too. So just know, like, when you're dealing with someone, know that, okay, this person, and if you really are in tune with yourself, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. You'll feel how this person makes you feel. You'll see how your kids react to this person, when they are in the presence of you and your child, and how they interact and how they talk, and how they're willing to be open, to different forms of expectations that may be there, because expectations are something that is set as a standard, and some of those things are non-negotiable. Listen, yeah, you like me? Yeah, I like you too, but I got a kid. So if my kid don't like you, then we probably not going to be a thing, and as much as I may like you, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline, because my child's well-being is more important to me than the selfishness of what I want for myself. People say, oh, well, but you could be missing out on a really good guy or a really great girl. If it's meant to be and it's right, everything will fall in place. When you try to push against it is usually when it backfires. And the last thing you want is to have someone around your child that doesn't have the best interest in you or themselves. Because if they don't, then that means they don't respect you. And if they don't respect you, that means they're going to do things that could hurt you and your child. So just remember, when dealing with this world that we live in and being single and wanting to be in the dating environment or the dating pool, don't pick people just because they have money or because they're attractive or because she's got a dope body or she looks good, pick them because they have some morality about them. Pick them because they have some standards. I, for one, would definitely not date a woman that is revealing in the way that she dresses. If she talks with a certain lingo, a disrespectful lingo, to herself, that's the same as me. If you're disrespecting yourself, you have no problem disrespecting anybody else. So know that person for their character, and then make the proper assessment to say, okay, yeah, we can have our kids around each other, because I see how you are as a parent and you see how I am as a parent. And that is the most important thing moving forward. Know your partner, but before you know your partner, make sure you know yourself. Up next, did you know? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Did you know Daniel Hale Williams, born 1858, died in 1931, who was the first African-American cardiologist who performed the first successful open heart surgery, founded the first interracial hospital, Providence Hospital, and training school. In 1893, Dr. Williams became the first surgeon to perform open heart surgery on a human. Dr. Williams performed the nation's first open heart surgery at the Providence Hospital in the summer of 1893. The operation was done without x-rays, antibiotics, surgical prep work, or tools of modern surgery. Dr. Williams practiced during an era when racism and discrimination prohibited African Americans from being admitted to hospitals and denied Black doctors any employment at the hospital staff. To counteract this practice, Dr. Williams founded the Providence Hospital and Training School for Nurses, now called Providence Hospital of Cook County in Chicago. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Real Source Podcast. I'm your host, JD. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe. And visit us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Be kind, be well, be safe. I'm out.
You never get this right, is when you're rolling with a G. 'Cause this party goes on all night, all night, all night. 'Cause this party goes on all night.
This is classical, feeling is magical. Anything other than this is unimaginable. Just living a dream, fantasies is being played out. Deja vu, reenacting the scene. Calculate, add the numbers up, money is clean. Directive is the same, keep a positive team. Let's get together, all walk with a lean. Good impression felt and left, never acting obscene. We could parley to the early morn, drinking the brew. Or we could take liquor shots, reminisce with the crew. Palette in many and the flavors is so tasteful. Educate with proper etiquette is so graceful. Grew up around ghetto streets but not hateful. Had a balance in my life growing up youthful. Children of a different tune, keep it all playful. Let the music come and grab you and it won't escape you.